Hey guys, we are in the basement. Today we're gonna do kind of a different John's Arcade. This is going to be a two-part episode. That's right, we're gonna do two different things in one video. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take a ride again up to Funspot in Wares Beach, New Hampshire, the world's largest arcade, and we're gonna review a driving game that was released in 1983 by Namco. It was actually developed by Tatsumi in Japan, licensed to Namco, and then Namco licensed it to Atari. Now, it kind of looks and feels like a sequel to Pole Position 2. I don't think it technically is, but it sure looks like it. And it's kind of an interesting game because it has 3 monitors. So we'll go check that out. And then after, when we come back, we're gonna go to the garage, and we're gonna look at my Gyruss project, which is underway. It's gonna be the first of many videos where we talk about the Gyruss as I restore it. And so we're gonna kind of start today with the first video and then go from there. All right, guys, I tell you what, let's get in the car and let's take a ride to Funspot, and then when we get back, we'll go to the garage. All right, guys, we are at Funspot in Wares Beach, New Hampshire, and we're gonna go inside and talk about a racing game that was released by Atari in 1983. All right, we're gonna talk about TX-1, which is a Namco racing game that was released in '83, and it seems to be, I don't really know this for a fact, but it seems to be like kind of an evolution of Pole Position, and it's got 3 screens, 3 monitors, and so, Matt, why don't you go ahead and play that?
Graphics are a little messed up.
Yeah, the board has some issues here. Looks like a RAM issue, but hopefully the game plays. So are you playing?
Yeah.
So is the 3 monitors, are you immersed in the game right now?
Totally. It's like Avatar. Oh, jeez.
Does it feel like Pole Position?
No,
it doesn't?
Very different. It's like turns for you, too.
It turns for you?
It's more like turbo, the way when you go around a turn, you're really still just steering straight.
Huh.
And it's way looser, like steering in general. Like around this turn, it's doing the turn for you.
Really?
Completely unlike Pole Position. Look at this, yeah. You barely have to turn. It's weird.
I think the 3 monitors is actually pretty awesome.
It's kind of cool, a little gimmicky. This is.
I mean, the left and right monitors really aren't affecting you in any way. You could totally play. That's the whole game?
I didn't even crash.
You didn't even. Wow, you suck.
I didn't qualify? Or is that the whole...
So this is a Taito, Namco, excluding Japan, East Hemisphere. What a weird game. So yeah, that's it. That's Atari's TX-1. I don't know, the cabinet is pretty bitchin'. It's huge. I'm actually, I want to research this now and like understand what this game is, because it's pretty cool.
I'm doing Pole Position 2.
All right, guys. Tell you what, why don't we go back to the basement? All right, guys, there you have it. That was Namco's TX-1. Pretty cool game with the 3 monitors and all. All right, I tell you what, now we're gonna go to the garage and we're gonna take a look at the Gyruss, and we're gonna talk about restoring it and kind of all the steps that I need to take before I bring the thing down here. So anyway, let's go to the garage and take a look at Gyruss. Okay, here we are in the garage, and here is my Gyruss project as it sits today. We're at the end of March 2013 here, and I've done a little bit of work so far, and this is going to be kind of like the first video of many as I record the progress of restoring this game. Now, when I got the game, it didn't work, or I didn't know if it worked. I didn't know if the monitor worked. It's in pretty crappy condition. I've done a little bit of work to it so far, which I'll show you guys today. But you can kind of see the cabinet overall is in pretty rough shape. And I'm trying to come up with a game plan right now as to how I'm going to restore this. And I don't think it's going to be too bad, really. You can see on the sides here that someone put contact paper over the original art. And I don't know why anyone did that. I don't know why they would do that, because the art underneath is all there. There's just contact paper, and I started removing some of it, and I don't think it's going to be a big deal to get off, actually, because you can see, you can just pull it off, and the artwork is underneath it. And so this game from the factory was stenciled. It was stenciled and spray painted, and we've got basically 3 colors here. There's an orange, there's a red kind of orange, and there's like this yellow-y color. And you know, the paint on here isn't bad. It's just that some idiots took keys to this and put scratches all over it. I'm really thinking that I'm going to try to touch this up with either water-based acrylic paint or maybe some enamel. I'm not sure. I'm going to see what kind of paint I can find and see if I can match this. Because I think if I touch this up, it might actually look pretty good. I don't think you'll notice it really. Because if you just kind of stand back here and you don't see the scratches, you can kind of see it's going to look pretty good. Anyway, so let's talk about kind of what I'm going to do here. My plan is to basically remove every part off this cabinet. I'm going to strip it completely, and I started doing some of that here. On the control panel, I removed all the parts from it. I removed the joystick, the buttons, the harness for all that. I have those parts over here, and I'm going to rebuild this joystick. The joystick, they call this a Monroe style stick, and it doesn't have a restrictor. It's kind of like a 360-degree stick. It's a 4-way joystick, but you have full 360-degree motion with this stick, and it's a really cool, unique stick that really is a stick that you need to have on Gyruss because it really adds kind of to the feel of the game. And you can see it kind of rusted here, and I'm just going to take the whole thing apart. It's all metal, really, and I don't think there's any rubber or plastic. There's a little back here. I see a bushing, but I'm going to take this whole thing apart, sand it, and kind of maybe oil it a little bit, maybe with some silicone grease or something, and I think it'll be just fine and like brand new. Right now, it's kind of bound up. It doesn't really move very easily because of the rust. I took the button harness off the control panel right here. Before I did that, I took photos and also wrote down the wiring, what goes to what, you know, like the black and yellow goes to the one-player start, and, you know, just things like that, so that when I put it back together, I can figure it out. I soaked the buttons in some water and soap to see if I can clean them up, and they actually turned out pretty nice. I don't know, I might just replace them. It all depends, though, if I replace the control panel overlay. And I haven't decided on that just yet, because this is the original control panel overlay. When I got the game, this thing was brown. And I took some magic eraser to it. And magic eraser is by far the greatest tool to clean original control panel overlays. It just is the perfect thing to clean these things, and it does such a great job. If you could have seen this control panel overlay before I used the magic eraser, it's pretty unreal how different it looks right now than how it looked when I first got it. So that was the first thing I did. I took it all apart. I cleaned it with the magic eraser. It looks pretty good. You know, from far away, it doesn't look too bad. I think it'll look okay in the basement with the lights are dim, but there is some cracking here. Not really that attractive. You know, I'm kind of torn lately about keeping things original and not having them freakishly restored with all reproduction parts. There's something about it being original. It's almost like the guys that collect the classic cars. I mean, you always want the original car with the original parts. You don't want like a 57 Chevy with reproduction fenders and fins and all that. You know, the one that's got the original parts is always the more desirable one. And I'm starting to feel that way about video games now. But anyway, when I got the cab, the coin door was missing. I managed to find a coin door because the coin door is actually pretty special for this game. It's a Centuri logoed coin door, you can see here. And I found one from a guy on clov.com. Only downfall is it has 2 fucking extra holes here. This pisses me off. So I gotta figure out a way to either live with this or cover it up. But I've got the Centuri badge here, which is huge because that coin door is hard to find. The bezel, which goes in here, it's a piece of chipboard. is right here. I have the original one, and it is just destroyed. It's not, I can't use this. So what I did is I found online a scan of the bezel, a very good scan, and I'm going to have that printed locally, and I'm going to mount it to chipboard, and I think that's going to turn out just great and solve this problem, because nobody makes a reproduction bezel right now for Gyruss, and it kind of goes on there like that with the plexi over it. I did manage to find a piece of original Konami plexi right here from a friend on Clov also. It's a slight tinted piece of plexi that goes right here, and then the chipboard is the chipboard bezel goes behind it. You'll notice my monitor has some horrible burn in it. I'm also going to be replacing the tube on this monitor. This is an original 4900 vertical mount monitor, which is, you know, the vertical monitors are actually kind of harder to find than, you know, the horizontals. I've got a lot of horizontal monitors, but I don't have a lot of vertical monitors, so I have to kind of make this one work, or I might be able to get a horizontal monitor in here, but the problem is some of them will stick out too far, and you will not be able to get the back door on. So the monitor is working, actually. Let me show you guys what I did so far in the back as far as electronics. So when I got the game, again, I didn't know if it worked. I didn't know anything about it. The first thing I did was I tested the power supply. Now, I found out that the power supply was actually bad. And here's the original power supply. I believe this is the original power supply, but this is the power supply that was in here, and it was mounted right there. And before I plugged my board in, I wanted to see if I had power here, and I did not. I had 110 volts going to here, but I did not have 5 volts or 12 volts, so it was outputting no power. So what I did then first is I replaced the power supply. I actually had a Peter Chu power supply laying around here, and so I rewired it, and it was pretty easy. I just pulled the connections off the old power supply and made the same connections on my new power supply. And then before I plugged the board in, I wanted to make sure that I did have 5 volts, because I don't want to plug the board in here without first measuring the voltage, because this could be very high and I could damage my board. So I put the new power supply in, I tested the voltages before I plugged my board in, I adjusted this till I had about a little over 5 volts on the 5 volt lug, which is over here. And you do this by basically taking your multimeter, putting the ground on ground, and putting the other probe on 5 volts, and you're measuring DC voltage. And initially I actually had a high voltage, and I turned it down until I had a little bit over 5, because there is some resistance in the wires, and you will get some voltage drop, and by the time it gets to the PCB, you want it to be 5 volts. So then after I had 5 volts here, and I knew it was safe to plug the PCB in, I did just that. And why don't we go ahead and do that, and then now, I didn't really know if the PCB was going to work. I actually had a friend that got this cabinet for me, and he gave me a PCB that was labeled working. It was one I believe he fixed at some point. So I was pretty confident it was going to work. I didn't know if the monitor was going to work. I actually just plugged this in for the first time like 2 days ago. Now, before I plugged this in, I didn't know which way this went on, because it can go on this way or it can go on that way. There's no key on here, there's no tab, so it is possible to plug this in wrong on the Gyruss Konami board here. And oh, look at this cap is loose. It's just kind of hanging on here. Oh wow, I should probably resolder that on there. So I went online and I got the pinouts for Gyruss, and I found out that on the board here, that pin 18 on this side was 5 volts, and then it went ground. So I looked on my plug here, and I saw that 5 volts was on this side, which is, it's typically the red wire, and then black is ground. So then I knew that the way to plug this in was like this, which basically then put the 5 volts on this side, and then ground, which matches the pinout for this side here. And it's the same thing. It's 5 volts and then ground, and then on the plug it's 5 volts, ground. So I know that's the right way to plug it in, and then I plugged in the game. And why don't we go ahead and plug it in, and I'll show you guys kind of where we are with this. Let's go over here, and we're gonna plug it in. And the first time I plugged it in, I didn't really know what was going to happen. I wasn't sure if the board worked 100%, and I didn't know if the monitor worked. And hopefully something good will happen here. And here it is. It's coming on. And you can see the board works. Let me turn the lights off. It's kind of bright here. So you can see I'm in pretty good shape here. The game is working. We've got sound, we've got video. The picture on this monitor actually isn't too bad. You can't tell, it's kind of sunny in here. But, so that part is done. We've got a working game. Isn't this sound awesome? Now listen to that. It's like Bach music. So, we're kind of over one hurdle getting the game working, because it is working. And so the next thing here is just to start tearing this thing apart. I'm going to remove every single piece off this game. I'm going to remove all the metal. I'm going to clean and, I mean, just look at all this dust and filth on here. I'm going to remove all the metal parts, sand them, repaint them, like, you know, these trim pieces here. Look at how horribly rusted that is. So I'm going to sand the living heck out of that. I'm going to remove this bottom metal piece here. I'll probably remove the speaker grills and respray paint those. I'm going to clean this all up. I'm going to fill all these holes with Bondo. I don't know if this bolt hole here, I'm going to remove that because I don't think that does anything. It might be structural. So I'll sand that and repaint that. I'm going to repaint this black. It looks like someone actually did paint it at one time because it's all coming off. Originally, I believe this is a vinyl that's on here. I'm actually not sure if it's painted or not. But I'm going to sand the heck out of the front of it and repaint the black. I'm going to put new T-molding on it. This T-molding's okay, but it's not great. So I'm going to replace the T-molding, and I'm going to document all this step by step as we go along every Sunday here. So anyway, that's it. That's where we are with the Gyruss today and right now. And you know what? Let's go back down to the basement. All right, guys, there you have it. That was Gyruss and TX-1. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Hopefully you guys will enjoy the Gyruss restore, because I'm certainly going to be doing a lot of videos and documenting kind of everything that I do on it. And I'll probably put it at the end of every video on Sunday. And speaking of Sunday, hey, you know what? I release new videos on Sunday, and you should click that subscribe button, because if you do, you will be alerted when I upload a new video. So keep up with the vids by subscribing, and also check out my podcast, Video Game Outsiders. We do that podcast every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern on the All Games Radio Network, which is allgames.com. The podcast is called Video Game Outsiders at videogameoutsiders.com. And you know what? Can I plug my band? Check out my band, The Kill Screens. Our debut CD, Science Fiction Movie, is available on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, Zune, Last.fm, you name it. The band is called The Kill Screens. The album is called Science Fiction Movie. Check it out at thekillscreens.com. And by the way, check out my sad Cubert. This thing is still dead. I actually stopped at a friend's house today, and he let me borrow a PCB. He actually might have given it to me, I don't know. But we're not sure if that PCB works, but I can start swapping some chips. And I'm trying to figure out what the heck is wrong with this thing, because it is flipping out. And I thought it was a voltage issue.
Hello.
It's not. I've got great voltages coming out of that power supply. I got a steady 5 volts. Right now the game's working okay. I just turned it on, but it's going to start flipping out. And there it goes. So I think it's something with the logic board. It sucks, whatever it is. So I'm going to pull the board out today. Look at this. It's going mad. So I'm going to pull the board out today, and I'm going to reflow this. I already reflowed the solder on the interconnect board. Actually, I don't think I'm going to reflow any solder right now. I'm going to start looking at the sockets. I'm going to reseat chips. I might try swapping CPUs. Actually, I'm going to plug this board in and see if it works, because I don't know if it does. But I'm going to get this damn Cubert fixed this weekend, because it's driving me nuts. It actually really makes me angry when I have a broken game down here. And right now, this is the broken game. So we're going to fix that soon, because I have to keep up with this stuff, because if I don't keep up, it's just going to... this will be a basement full of junk, and I don't want that. So, all right, guys, that's it. You know what? Thanks for subscribing. If you haven't, click the subscribe button now, and we'll see you guys next time. Later.